Carl Duncan, a cattle farmer, had barely pulled up to his own farm when he heard his workers screaming. Ben ran out to him with pitchforks in his hands and tossed them aside. "Where did you get that beast? It is impossible to go near him at all." "Ben, is this the first time you've seen a breeding bull?" smiled Mr. Duncan. "It's not a bull, it's some kind of monster." "No, I'm not going to look after him. I want to live. He's already breaking the second stall." Tom wanted to give him some hay, but he shook his horns so hard that he flew off to the side. Mr. Duncan frowned and went into the stable, where a young breeding bull had been brought in the other day. The man agreed to the expensive purchase because he didn't have a normal bull in his herd. But if it goes on like Ben says, he would have to get rid of the bull. Mr. Duncan entered the barn and froze with fright and delight when he saw a huge beast blowing large nostrils. The bull looked at him with bloodshot eyes and roared deafeningly, and then yanked his head with such force that he almost tore the chains with which he was tied. Mr. Duncan involuntarily recoiled to the side and then hurried out of the stable. "Yeah, he's terrifying." He threw up his hands as he got closer to Ben. "I spent so much money on him. How can I let him out into the herd? He'll do a lot of trouble. Let's see, a few more days. Maybe he'll get used to us. And if not, well, then we have no choice but to send him to the butcher." Mr. Duncan, upset about what had happened, went to the car and, in a minute, roaring with the engine, turned towards the village. He hadn't become a villager very long ago, only about 7 years ago. One day he decided to leave the crowded and hectic city and settle in the village, in the house where his wife Sarah's parents used to live. They had been farmers at one time, but when they grew old there was no more energy left, and the large farm had fallen into decay. Sarah did not even think about going back to the village where she grew up. She liked the comfortable city life, but Carl managed to change her mind, although it took almost 6 months. In the end, the couple sold 2 apartments and invested all the money in the development of a dilapidated farm. Their son Paul was very excited about rural life. He liked everything in the village: the air, the open space, the river, the people. And when his father gave Paul a sheepdog, the boy went crazy with joy. From the first day, Alf was his faithful friend and never parted with his master. Paul grew up and became his father's helper in everything, not even dreaming of another fate. The only thing Paul desired was to meet a girl who he could share his love for a simple, uncomplicated life filled with work, peace, and simple family happiness. "Where will you find such a person?" Mr. Duncan shook his head, listening to his son's reasoning. "Now all the girls dream of a different life. They like to spend time in spas, holidays at resorts, travel. My dream is to meet a girl like our mother, beautiful, kind and faithful, that she would follow me anywhere. That's how Mum followed you, here to the country." "Son," smiled Mr. Duncan, "maybe you should think about the city after all. Get a good profession. By the way, have you changed your mind about joining the army? After all, we still have our connections." "No, Dad. I wouldn't respect myself then. Don't worry, I'll pay my debt to my country and come back. You won't miss me." "Yes, and I'm proud of your decision and your strong character," smiled his father, patting his son on the shoulder. But very soon he had to really confront Paul's character, and a real war almost broke out at home. One day Paul came home and announced that he was going to get married. "Paul, are you kidding me?" frowned Mr. Duncan. "Who is your lucky chosen one? As far as I remember, you're not dating anyone. You spend all your evenings at home. Did you find love on the internet?" "It's no joke, Dad," answered Paul seriously. "Don't swear. I didn't find her on the internet. I found her in a junkyard. Do you remember 3 days ago you asked me to take out the garbage? I did as you said. That's where I found her. Her name is Megan." "Darling, I don't understand anything," fluttered Sarah's hands. "Do you really want to marry some homeless woman? What was this Megan doing at the dump? How old is she?" "Mum, you won't believe it. She's been living there for 2 weeks, in an old wooden shed that someone built. She's the same age as me. I'm only a few hours older than her. Amazing, isn't it?" "That's not what's amazing," Sarah exclaimed. "What amazes me is the recklessness you've ventured into. Do you really want to bring that hobo here? Paul, come to your senses. She probably has a family somewhere, and if she doesn't want to live with them, or they don't want to live with her, then there's likely a good reason for that. Did you find out why she's homeless?" Megan was very young when her father died. Her mother remarried and lived with her new husband for almost 7 years. He was a bad man and treated Megan and her mother disgustingly. They were free servants for him. Megan was barely 14 when her mother passed away. From then on, Megan grew up with her stepfather and stepmother, whom he immediately brought into the house. They kicked Megan out of the house into the barn, where her grandfather set up a tiny little room for her. Megan took care of the plot, the cattle on the farm, did all the housework. For that they fed her, sometimes brought her some clothes. "Look, all this just can't be true," Mr. Duncan brushed him off. "This is the 21st century, and slavery was abolished a long time ago. If your Megan tolerated this kind of treatment and didn't complain anywhere, then she's just stupid. And it's not worth talking about it anymore. You can go to the army any day, so a wedding is out of the question. Dad, Megan and I are simply going to register our marriage, and she will be living here." "No, she won't, at least as your wife. If you like her, we'll let her live here with us, but just as a tenant. You'll serve your time, come home, and if your opinion doesn't change, we'll agree with your marriage." "Dad, I don't need your consent. I've already made up my mind, and I'll do it my way, and Megan will come in as my wife." "No, she won't!" Mr. Duncan slammed his fist on the table with force. "As long as I am the master here, and everything will be as I say." Paul stood up silently, walked over to his father, and looked him straight in the eye. Sarah gasped as she saw before her not husband and son, but 2 grown men ready to confront each other. "Stop it now!" she demanded, coming between them. "Paul, Carl, let's talk calmly." "I've already said everything." Mr. Duncan gritted through his teeth. "So have I," Paul replied in tone with him. "And if you don't like my choice, you'd better put up with it. Otherwise, instead of gaining a daughter, you will lose a son." The room was so tense that all 3 of them didn't notice a skinny, girlish figure appear in the doorway. Only when she spoke, everyone turned to her, surprised by her presence. "Paul, don't talk to your parents like that," asked Megan. "They don't know me at all, and their fears are quite understandable. Thank you for your kind attitude toward me, but it's better for us not to meet again." "Mum, Dad, I'd like you to meet the Megan I told you about." The stunned parents looked at the girl and didn't say a word. Then Paul walked over to her and took her hand. "Come, Megan, since you and I aren't welcome here, we'll find a place to live." He headed for the threshold, but Sarah rushed toward him. "Son, don't say that. I don't want you, both of you, to leave." The desperate woman looked at her husband. "Carl, why won't you say something?" "Let him do what he wants," Mr. Duncan waved. "After all, it really is his life." Soon Paul and Megan became husband and wife. There was no wedding, Sarah simply laid a festive table and they celebrated the event with the family. And a few days later, Paul was taken in the army, and Megan stayed in his parents' house to wait for his return. Sarah tried to put up with the presence of her daughter-in-law. However, it was not difficult. Quiet, calm, hard-working Megan grabbed for any job. She could do everything, only, as she herself admitted, she did not know how to cook. "They'll never let me in the kitchen," she told. "That's all right. I'll teach you if you like," Sarah answered, conciliatorily. "I really want to," rejoiced Megan. When Sarah stayed alone with her husband, she told him, not hiding her surprise, "You know, I like this girl. She is so kind and caring, and knows how to do everything. You don't even have to ask her. She sees everything herself. I don't have time to think about sweeping the floor or washing the dishes, and she's already doing it." "Yes, I see," replied Mr. Duncan, "and it surprised me that Alf acknowledged her so easily. You know, he doesn't let anyone near him except Paul. By the way, I saw Megan eating pickles the other day and asked her if she was expecting a baby," Sarah whispered confidentially to her husband, and she smiled shyly and admitted to me that she had nothing with Paul. Can you believe it? "Why?" wondered Mr. Duncan. "After all, they are married, even though it happened so ridiculously." I asked her the same question. She told me they knew too little of each other. Mr. Duncan was even confused by this information. Megan said that Paul took pity on her and wanted to keep her safe until he came back. Do you understand? Mr. Duncan nodded thoughtfully. He's been a little softer on Megan since that day, but the bull story had turned everything upside down again. One day Mr. Duncan returned home from the farm and told his wife and daughter-in-law about his unfortunate acquisition. "And it's such a beautiful bull. He's all chocolate, but his head is white, as if he didn't have enough brown paint on it. His owner, when he sold him to me, said the bull was a little wild, and its name is silly, Zorro. Anyway, I gave Zorro a few days, but most likely I'll have to call the butcher." Megan listened carefully to her father-in-law but said nothing. But at night, Mr. Duncan heard the quiet slamming of the front door. Sarah was asleep next to him, which meant that only Megan could have left the house. Could it be that she found another man? Thought Mr. Duncan, and quickly got dressed, deciding to take her out on clean water. Realizing that Megan had gone in the direction of the farm, the man decided that she had contacted one of his employees. "What a shame. Well, I will find out everything, and I will expose the wretch," said quietly Mr. Duncan, and slowed down, noticing that Megan had already disappeared into the stable, where there was that huge bull, which everyone was afraid of. The enraged Mr. Duncan opened the door and was dumbfounded to see Megan hugging the bull's head, pressing it to her chest. "Zorro, my darling," cooed the girl, feeding the beast a loaf of bread, and he carefully took pieces from her palm, snorting with pleasure. "What's going on?" asked Mr. Duncan, stunned. "Mr. Duncan, that's my Zorro. I named him that. You bought him from my stepfather, Paul Valentinovich, right?" "Yes, only I didn't know he was your stepfather." "Zorro was born weak, and the stepfather ordered to feed him to the dogs, and I begged him to keep the calf for me. I don't know why, but my stepfather let me. I fed Zorro from a bottle, spent days and nights with him, took care of him, and look how handsome he grew up. And then, when my stepfather kicked me out of the house, I had to leave him. I couldn't take him with me. Zorro wouldn't listen to anyone, I guess, and then my stepfather decided to sell him. I heard your story today, and I knew at once it was about my bull. So I came here to make sure. Please don't send him to the butchery. He's kind, and I'll take care of him myself." "Don't worry. I'll keep your strange pet. Only you, please, teach my cattleman how to look after him." The contented bull breathed noisily through his huge nostrils, and the girl petted him like a kitten. "Yes, Megan, you never cease to amaze me." Mr. Duncan shook his head. "Listen, can I pet him?" "Sure," laughed the girl. "You know right away how affectionate he is." "I hope so," smiled Mr. Duncan as well. The year in the army flew by unnoticed, and Paul returned home. When the first excitement of the meeting subsided, Mr. Duncan took his son aside for a chat. "Thank you, son, for such a daughter-in-law. Your Megan is a real treasure, and you will surely be as happy with her as I was with your mother. Remember I told you that story about the bull? Of course, Zorro is a strange dowry, but he really has gold-plated us. The cows are giving birth so strong calves from him. I hope that you and Megan will also give me grandchildren as healthy and cheerful as Zorro's offspring." "Don't even doubt it, Daddy." Paul playfully patted his father on the shoulder. Paul kept his word, and a year later the whole family arrived at the maternity hospital to pick up Megan and the 2 strong, healthy twin sons she gave to her beloved husband. Paul was incredibly proud and happy because his dream of a large and friendly family had come true.